Good morning, people. Just gonna make myself some coffee real quick. Nothing special. Just it's the coffee with this little heat pad that we got from Goodwill. It was $5, brand new. Good deal. I like thrifting a lot, so most things that I get is through thrifting or secondhand. I'm all about saving money and things like that. Grew up thrifting and with yard sale and things like that, so yeah, it'll always be a part of me. So let's check it out. So I think we just got to increase the temperature, right? Hopefully it works out well. First time trying this, so let's see how it goes. I'm not sure it's heating up already, but we'll see. I think I feel the heat. Anyways, since we're here, I guess I just want to do a little quick reflection in regards to van life, vehicle life, and things like that. If van life has always been something you wanted to do, that you always want to pursue, I definitely recommend you doing it. And definitely do like a small dry run first before you do a full commit. So what I initially did was like my first 2 months, it was that I had like a no build where I just had two kind of like storage cubes. They were like those 3x3 cubes. So and then I just had like a chair that was able to extend out into a bed, which wasn't very comfortable, but over time I got the idea of what I needed and what I wanted within the build. And the reason why I recommend you guys doing this is that van life really helped free my mind. You know, my luck has been like I had to move pretty much every year for the past 10 years. So I never really had that structure or stability. It's like the moment I felt like I was comfortable and like I was starting to get the hang of things, I would have to move, and all of a sudden my environment would change and things like that, and it would suck. I would say one of the best part in regards to van life is that I finally feel like I'm in control of my life. I finally feel like, you know, I'm actually growing and progressing in a positive fashion, and that this is mine. This is my home. Unlike all the other places I stayed at, it was just renting. And it never felt like it was a home. It never felt like it was mine. And at any moment's time, I could have been kicked out, moved out, and things like that. The reason why I started doing van life was because of multiple situation that happened and occurred during that time. The first part was there was a 80% layoff from the charter school I was working for. So I was a adult ESL teacher, and that was probably one of the coolest job I had, even though it was emotionally and socially taxing. For someone like me who's an introvert, being a teacher can be very draining, but the work was very rewarding. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So that was one catalyst why I went to van life. Second one would be, oh, someone's calling me. We're gonna pause real quick. Yeah, so that ended up being a spam call. I thought it might have been my employer or something like that because I'm starting a new job soon, and we can talk about that later. The second catalyst would be a breakup, you know? So my girlfriend at the time and I, like, initially we were staying at my parents' ADU, which I was renting out. Didn't get any special deals or anything like that. Yeah, where am I going with this? But yeah, we were living there, and then because of the environment start to feel toxic there, we decided to move out together to a like a two-bedroom, two-restroom place. It was a nice place and all that, but sadly, within 5 days of moving in together with her, we decided to end things. You know, And to me, that was a big shock because I really thought and felt like it was going to be a nice fresh start for us. And to be honest and real, we did get into a lot of arguments and things like that, like prior to that. So, in all honesty, it was probably bound to happen. And a big part of myself was because I just wanted to have a family, I just want to settle down. I believe with my partner at the time, I was essentially settling for less. You know, how I saw things was that I would be okay to be a single father and things, and I was totally okay with that. You know, and in the back of my mind, I was just kept thinking and you know justified myself that it'll be okay because her mom was awesome. You know, her mom's like the hard carry of her family. You know, her mom does everything and doesn't get the appreciation or recognition that she truly deserves. You know, so I thought at the worst case scenario, I could be a single dad, and with the support and help with my in-laws, I would have been okay. But that didn't happen. That didn't occur. And so, yeah, after 5 days of moving in together, she decided to break up with me. She ended up going to party in LA that weekend. Don't know what she did, but you know, that was a mental spiral for me. And initially, because we just moved in there and it was a 6 month lease, I was initially thinking about just duking it out and just trying to be friends with her and figure where we can go from there and just start rebuilding my life from there. But thankfully, it was from my suggestion of my one of my closest friend, Jack, who said and told me like straight up, bro, you're stupid. Why are you doing that to yourself? Why you have to put yourself through that pain? And thankfully, because of having his wisdom and his guidance, like I made the decision to start doing van life. So the very first thing I did was I had a station wagon, still do. But the very first thing I did was I started trying to sleep within my station wagon just for one night to see if it's achievable, see how it felt like. So I was able to do that. So I parked in like a apartment parking lot area and just stayed the night there just to do a trial to see if I can possibly do vehicle life and see if it was practical. And I was able to do it. So yeah, that night I didn't sleep at all. It was very scary. It was very anxious, feelings all over the place and things like that. But it showed me that I can do it. Vehicle life is achievable. And then from there, I just started shopping around for vans. I was literally just full send in regards to that. And yeah, I started shopping for vans. I was thinking about finding something that was possibly pre-built already. Initially, I was looking at those Nissan Envies, like the small little vans without the windows. I thought those would be perfect, but the cheapest one I could find was about like 12,500, very high mileage and things like that, and it wasn't within my budget. So I started looking at other minivans instead, and we looked at Dodge, looked at Chryslers, and at the end of the day, I ended up choosing a Toyota Sienna because they're known to be very reliable. So if you guys are thinking about doing vehicle life, I would probably recommend either a Honda Odyssey or a Toyota Sienna because they're built to last. And the best part about it is that if you're trying to do stealth, you blend just right in regards to it because those vans are pretty much everywhere. I see Toyota Siennas, white ones all over the place, and yeah, just blends right in. All right, back to What were we talking about? About vans. Yeah. So if you ever consider or thought about doing van life, I highly recommend you take the leap of faith and do it, because I was hesitant at first, but am grateful that I made that decision. And it's always been something that I always wanted to do, was to live an alternative method of living. And I always had that idea and thought ever since I was a kid. After reading the book Into the Wild, like reading the story, really, I just really connected with the main character from the book, because he was also different and wanted to live a different lifestyle. And to me, that lifestyle was very appealing. And at the early age, I knew I was different. You know, it wasn't until I was about 25 that I started suspecting that I was autistic. And the reason why I started noticing it is because at the time I was working with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and I started seeing similarities within myself that I saw within them. And one thing interesting was, I think people on the spectrum has a sense of knowing each other, if you know what I mean. Like there's a sense of connection and feeling that you're one of us, you know? And the reason I say that is because the participant that I was lucky enough to work with at the time always called me brother. And yeah, it was cool. So I guess now I'm just at the period of my life where I'm just living my best life, just doing things that feels right and true to myself. And one of the best thing that happened being laid off was that with that unemployment money, I was able to just really take my time to figure things out without jumping into a job that I knew I would regret, or I knew that I'm gonna get burnt out over time. So I left it up to faith. I left it up to God to guide me for my next opportunity in regards to life. And one thing that I knew that I wanted to do was to create positive content, to be a content creator, to help others like myself, help them break out of their own mental prison, you know? And yeah. And the second thing I knew was that I wanted to re enter the industry serving adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So the position that I was working at before was called Qualified Intellectual Disability Professional, which is basically an administrator position within these home facilities. And I've worked for 3 different companies in the past as a QIDP. With the first one being great, it was a nonprofit, but at the time I was young, I was hungry, I wanted to keep growing and progressing, so I decided to leave that job to jump into a heaping fire of a company, and ended up getting burnt out working for that company, you know? So I ended up breaking off, started doing my own thing, tried reselling full time. That ended up not panning out well. Did that for about 2 years, and just when I found my niche within the industry, circumstance and situation happened where it was out of my control, and I had to basically close my business. And we can always talk about that at a later time, but I don't think that's relevant for this video at this time. Anyways, let's add the coffee into here real quick. It's taking a while, so this might not be our method and way to make coffee, because this is just a warmer, if you know what I mean. But we'll try. So it might not be the best way to make hot coffee or heat up water. It might be something better for this, but for now, we'll work with what we got, you feel? And we'll create a little trash bag right here. Alright. So I guess we'll just try to close out this video real quick, little vlog, and just say that if van life is something that you always want to do it. Probably one of the best decisions I made in my life so far. And for once in my life, I feel like I'm in control of my life, unlike before. And given the state of the world and the economy, van life honestly makes sense. I live in Southern California where rent is really high, cost of living is really high. So, yeah, I think we're going through a recession right now. The nation has never been more divided. So, van life's going to teach you how to be more self-sufficient, to be more independent, and it really taught me to be okay and happy with myself. Yesterday I was eating a hamburger, and for whatever strange reason, I was just kind of like dancing, grooving, and jiving. And this is someone who used to feel weird, you know, or thought it was weird to eat by yourself. It's like only losers do that. But now I'm like, I'm enjoying this time in solitude, having more control over my energy and the people I allow into my life. And the person I was spending most time with was my girlfriend at the time. Even after we broke up, we still hung out a lot, but I realized that every time we hung out, I felt drained and depleted. I didn't feel better. I didn't feel more motivated. I didn't feel like it was like, oh yeah, this was a cool, great hangout or anything like that. I just felt depleted. And I'm just much happier just spending time to myself and just spending time with people who push and build you forward. And I guess we'll end with that. Thank you guys for hearing my little rant.